Hi. First of all, thanks so much to John and Professor Pentland for inviting me here. It's exciting for me to talk to you. Always a little dangerous to be introduced as being from the White House recently. Story for another time. Today, I'm here to talk to you a bit about using the idea of a food nutrition label to build better and more responsible artificial intelligence. And it's part of a project that I'm the lead of called the Data Nutrition Project. So the problem that we're trying to solve is one of biased or incomplete data, which, when used to build AI, will build models that start to reflect the same problematic outcomes as the data. I won't go through all the examples here, but for example, the one on the left, Amazon built an algorithm that was supposed to help them hire, ended up never wanting to hire women because all the data that was used to train that data was about hiring men, or primarily so. And there are lots and lots of examples of this kind of thing happening in both research, but also in the marketplace, out in production. And it's hard to catch these things once they're out there in the wild. So as part of this project, we actually went and surveyed about 100 data scientists, and we said, what are the kinds of things that you're looking at when you get a data set? How are you interrogating that data? How are you figuring out if that data is actually good for the thing that you want to do? And this is what we heard. It's a total free-for-all. When there isn't a best practice, it's actually hard to discover you might need a best practice. And it wasn't because data scientists aren't trying to do a good job. It's not because they don't care about bias. It's because there's literally no standards. The field has kind of evolved faster than the standards have. So we started to think about, well, what are some other analogous situations in which you're trying to figure out whether something is good for you before you decide to consume it? Well, the most obvious one is, should I eat this thing? Right? And so food nutrition labels, at least here in the US, are on a lot of food products. They tell you what's inside the food. They don't necessarily tell you whether or not you should eat it, but you can make an informed decision about whether or not you want to consume that based on your own, make up your own decisions about your diet before you actually go ahead and open that package of, in this case, cookies. So we thought, hey, there's an analogous situation here where before you actually build your AI model, you could take a look at the data that you're about to use to build that model and say, is this going to be healthy for my model to consume? This is the project that we've created. We're a bunch of cross-industry folks who had a fellowship at the Berkman Klein Center at Harvard and also the MIT Media Lab. We come from different industries. Some of us are policy folks. Like, for example, I was at the White House. Others are working in industry, like at Google, or even researchers here at MIT. Our whole purpose is to build tools and processes to empower data scientists to make better choices about artificial intelligence before they make that artificial intelligence, as opposed to at the end of it, when then they have to take all of that time and effort to go back to the beginning, find new data, retrain their model, and then reproductionalize that model. What we created was a nutrition label for data sets. This is an example of one. I'll dive into it in a few seconds here. We also authored a paper. You can find it on the website if you're interested. You can also come up and ask me about it. This was the prototype that we built with ProPublica, which is an investigative journalistic outlet. And this is a data set around pharma spend per drug in the US in 2017. So this was one module on the label. There were 7 example modules. It's all on the internet if you'd like to see it. But the example finding here is that the total spend correlated pretty strongly with white and urban environments. And that would be interesting to know if you're going to go ahead and build a model on top of this data set, so you know kind of what the bias is in the data before you make that model. So the overall benefits of this project that we're working on are threefold. And it's really about driving cultural change in the industry. The first is that pretty clearly we hope to drive robust data analyses practices. But then also, there would be lead-on effects from this, such as the overall quality of the models will improve. And then also, if you are someone who's curating data sets, you'll probably start to think about, hey, I'm going to have to make this label eventually, so I should think about the health of the data while I'm curating the data set to begin with. We are right now pushing towards a next round of labels. We're doing a lot of prototyping and working with folks in industry and across different standards bodies here in the US and also globally. So if you're interested in hearing more or getting involved, please reach out. Thank you.